We wait for 6 o'clock. Good evening. It is January 16th, and the Billerica Historical Preservation Commission is now in session. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone, and welcome to our newest commissioner. Do we have an adoption of the agenda?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
It's been motioned to adopt the agenda, seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by raising your hand.
Aye.
Anonymous, thank you. Have you all had a chance to read the minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Not for me.
We're good.
Motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we,
Was that you?
What's that?
Did you make a second?
No.
Oh, okay.
You did.
You have to be quick.
okay. Motion to accept has been, everyone in approval, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay.
Motion carried. Public comment. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on behalf of any thoughts that you have, not for anything that you are here for as an application? Yes.
I'm not sure, this is my first time here.
If you're coming up to the, please state your name and address for our records.
My name is Kyle Watkins. My address is 209 East Wilson Street, Unit 134 in Billerica. This doesn't have anything to do with what I'm here for, but I'm not sure if this is who I would address. But when me and my daughter walk to school, to Billerica Elementary School every once in a while, we have to go through the light that's on South Dogwood, or I think that's Dogwood,
It is.
and whatever street is on where Billerica Elementary is. Well, we push the button, it never turns into the walk signal.
Talk to the
Okay.
man sitting down.
This you need to, this is for historical preservation. However, while we appreciate your coming in and being a part of our audience, you need to speak to Mr. Elliott, because that is something for him.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know if this was the right format, so I figured I'd just bring it to your attention.
Thank you.
Wonderful, we're glad that you came.
You're welcome to stay.
Oh, I'm staying.
Okay. Is there anyone else with any other public comment? Okay, if not, we'll have reports of officers, board meetings, and standing committees. Kim, would you like to speak?
Yes. I have completed a letter here somewhere. I just had it, y'all. There it is. I'll lay this up here for display if anyone's interested in looking at it. This is a letter that that I've been working on for a couple of months, and unfortunately, due to my absence, I wasn't able to complete. But this is a letter of invitation to residents of the city of Billerica to fill out an application for the Historic Plaque Program. We think it is a bragging point on your home if you have this on display. No charge to it, just wanted everybody to know that the plaque is available to historic homes, and after approval, you will be presented with a plaque at no cost to you. I'm going to lay it up here if anybody wants to take a peek at it.
Thank you, Kim.
When will you be submitting those or mailing in?
I'm going to make sure that Tracy has a hard copy through email,
Okay.
and that way the names and addresses can be plugged in and it can be mailed.
So how many are you looking at sending out?
Wasn't there a beginning list of 5 or 6?
Yeah, we have 5 right now.
Okay, so we'll hit up those 5 and move on from there.
For those in the audience, If your house, if you would like to have your home declared as a historical residence, there are certain criteria. The plaques are given to you once an application is made and turned into the city. And then you're allowed to put a plaque in your house stating when it was done. We happen to have 2 commissioners who do have a plaque on their home. You do? No, you
No,
don't.
you still haven't given it to me.
It's sitting,
Oh, okay. And a couple who are eligible.
to my knowledge, it's still sitting at City Hall, isn't that correct?
I just haven't done it yet.
Oh.
Yeah. So it is possible for you to have a plaque on your home if you so desire to do that. The applications can be picked up at City Council and at the City Hall and then turned in.
Speaking of that, the list that we have that already have approved plaques that are still sitting at City Hall, what is are we sending out this letter to notify them?
Come fetch.
I think so. I think we can, or
Yeah.
should.
We should. Yeah.
We
They
need to let them know. Do you have the names of the people who are currently living there? Either one
That's
of you?
easy to get, yeah.
Okay, all right. So we can send them a letter to come, because we've been waiting to give them for over 2 or 3 years anyway.
Mine was covered in a layer of dust because it hadn't been claimed, so, yeah. Because
Okay.
no one knew.
Any other board or standing committees? I think perhaps, Mr. Elliott, shall I mention at this time the change of our date? Okay. We had, as a Historical Preservation Commission, talked for the last 3 or 4 months about designating some of our areas and some of our sites as historical sites. According to Georgia rules for historical preservation, some of them can be local, or regional, or national. To declare a site a national historical spot takes anywhere from 3 to 5 years in order to do all the paperwork and to validate everything that goes on through there. The city of Villa Rica, along with other cities in the past, were required to do a survey. The last survey that was done in Villa Rica was in 2009 by a group that came out of the University of West Georgia. And they actually have, if you were to go onto the Villa Rica site and then click on the departments and HPC, Historical Preservation Commission, and then go down to the survey, phase 1, you will see 585 pages with homes, actually pictures of them that were done in 2009 that discuss the architecture, the year it was at least on the tax rolls, and whether or not it's a contributing factor to anything historical. What we are aiming to do in the future is to possibly extend the historical district in the city of Villa Rica, not to make substantive changes, but to make sure that the changes for growth, which are important, will in fact keep the integrity of the city and keep it as it was intended to be. For some of the ambience that is there, we have an awful lot going for us. Not only do we have the old gold mine, but we have the Freedom Bus going through on 78. We have a baptismal fount on Spring Street that we do have some citizens who actually saw people being baptized as long as the late 1930s, and it still exists. We have homes, we have the Marchman home, a lot of other homes that we would like to actually designate as local places, including even the hospital on the corner of Carroll Drive, that was the original hospital in Villa Rica. The last people to be born there were 1955, and it is now a church. So these are some of the things that we would like to keep the people who are new, at least let them know why we're proud of Villa Rica and where we were, where we've come from, and so to keep a little bit of that ambiance and uniqueness of our city. So those are some of the things we're going to do. If you happen to read on the site that we were going to have an open meeting, which we are required to do by law, on the 29th of this month at the library, we decided that it needed to be changed. In speaking with people at City Hall and the staff, we would like to make sure that the announcement goes out as other announcements do in all of the utility bills. We do have to make sure that it is at least in 3 different places. It has been suggested tonight that we put it in Historical Society newsletter, in addition to the fact that it will be in the Times Georgian, the Villa Rican, and on the websites. We are waiting for a confirmation from the library to see if we, in fact, can have that meeting on the 7th of March, which would be a Thursday, but instead of doing it from 4 until 6:30 or 6:45, it would be held from about 6 to 8:30 in the evening. So that way we'll be able to invite the whole citizenship to understand what we're doing and to get some of their input as to what sites they believe or that you all believe would be important for us to designate as at least a local historical site. So that's where we are at this point. So there's no meeting on the 29th. If you happen to see it in the paper, if it got in there by mistake and we didn't get to retract it soon enough. Any other comments from standing committees? Okay, old business.
All right, so the
Okay.
meeting date is gonna be March the 5th?
No, it's the 7th, if it is confirmed. We have not received a confirmation yet.
That's right.
So once we have a confirmation, it will be advertised.
Okay, so it's gonna be Thursday the 7th, all right?
Any new business?
I apologize, I'm not Lanice, guys, but
Okay.
you'll have to settle for me tonight. We do have 2 new staff members that have been hired. By the next meeting, we'll have new representation. So, the first item on the agenda is a COA-05-18, which is an application for a certificate of appropriateness, 224 West Montgomery Street, land lot 161 of the 6th District in Carroll County. The applicant is requesting a certificate of appropriateness for adding a sign to the facade of the building. The sign will read "Fancy," and "Fancy" will be on 2 feet by 8 feet weather-treated plywood painted coral, bridged together to make one 4-inch fiberboard along the outside border, color off-white. And in your packet on the, I think it's toward the back, you'll have a before and after picture of what that sign is going to look like on the building.
That's it.
Staff analyzed the application, and the staff is recommending approval with conditions. Sign must meet the requirements as written in Table 9-1 of the Unified Development Code. Maximum sign area is 300 square feet or 10% of the wall space of premises to which sign relates, whichever is less, on each street-facing wall. Per the Commercial Design Standards, Chapter 6, Section M2-5, new signs for historic buildings should respect the size, scale, and design of the historic building and should not overpower the building. New signs should not obscure significant features of a historic building such as transoms, windows, or other architectural details. New signs should be attached to a building carefully to avoid damage to historic fabric. Fittings should penetrate mortar joints rather than masonry, and sign materials should be characteristic of a building's period and style. A building's historic features and details can often suggest a motif for new signs. And I believe the applicant is here.
Is the applicant here? Would you please? Commissioners, you any comments?
Yes, I have a comment. The color scheme, the coral color scheme, is there a particular reason for that?
My name is Kyle Watkins. I'm the representative of actually Fancy. The full name is Fancy Boutique. That is her, the business's theme color, I guess you can say. That's the theme. That's the main theme. Most of her background, and when she gives out a application, if somebody wants to consign or anything of that nature, that's just her theme. That she liked that color. We chose that, and she chose that as she started her business.
It's a little overpowering, I think, for me, anyway. And It's
Actually,
overpowering.
yeah, according to the guidelines for our new colors, there are historical colors. I appreciate the fact that that's her theme, but we're concerned only with the exterior. Historical preservation is not concerned with the interior part of it. So if her colors inside are going to be like that, that's fine. But on the outside, according to all of our criteria, the color scheme must match what was done historically for that time period. And the sign is more modern than would be acceptable, meeting the historical criteria that we have. One of our commissioners who is not here tonight, his wife did a great job of compiling color samples. We would not presume to tell anybody what color to do or even the name of a brand of paint to use. However, those color schemes are going to be a part of Bill Ricka's proposals in the future, and they must meet the criteria of being more neutral in effect. And I think that's probably the criteria that some of us were concerned about, is that it's overpowering because it is so bright and not in keeping with the historical period of the time the building was built.
Pretty much. I wouldn't mind seeing splashes of color, you know, a design maybe, a business card kind of design in a slightly muted coral or pink, or I don't know exactly what color it is, but something a little bit more muted would perhaps be better accepted, so to speak. Or a design with, excuse me, a design with just splashes of the pink color.
I understand.
Okay. You are, and she is more than welcome to, you know, bring it back with a slightly different design or color change, something of that nature, and we will be more than happy to take another look at it.
Any other comments?
I would probably suggest to get a couple of renderings together of different designs that you could bring forward. Maybe the coral as a little background behind the letters, muted, and just use that.
I did have a question.
Sure.
Is there, I know she may mention, Ms. Mims may mention that there, you know, you guys don't tell us what color to use, but is there like, anywhere where I could go for a reference guide for what colors may be acceptable?
Not official color.
I was about to interject here. So my concern with this is while we want neutral colors, we have not established as of yet what those colors are.
Right.
And while I'm going to be very blunt, I'm a little frustrated that we've gone through this for now, 4-5 months. This sign has already been up without a certificate of appropriateness. But at this moment, we don't have a set standard of colors that we can tell him he has to repaint it.
Oh, so the sign's already there.
Yes.
Okay.
However, I would say it does not fit the downtown look at all, not the look that we're going to. It stands out like a sore thumb, and I appreciate as a business, I appreciate the design or the desire to have everything going in that direction. It doesn't fit the standard. But at this point,
There is no standard.
there is no standard established.
But there are standards established within the website and our guidelines for neutral colors.
It does say neutral
It
colors,
does say neutral colors.
but we don't have a
But
standard
bright
of
pink
which
is not
colors.
considered a neutral color.
Right.
Alan?
Yeah, I would, like I said, I would probably suggest to go back and just get a couple of renderings together of what you can change it to. I think what they're trying to say is no chartreuse pink and neon green is what we're trying to get away from. And it being a bright fluorescent-ish type, I would probably suggest it, like I said, to go back and get a couple of renderings and maybe to change it out. Even just use that as a background slided muted color instead of the whole sign.
Right, I understand. Yeah, like I said, I'm a representative, and I'm definitely gonna channel this. I'm trying to think of what she maybe asking or would like to say. I do know that, as was mentioned, it was up prematurely. When we first got here, she moved here from Virginia, and then she originally lived in Atlanta, so she didn't know all the background that needs to happen, and ignorance is no excuse, but that's the situation with that, so we're trying to make things right. As far as the color goes, I will communicate it, and I'll be there to support her. I'm not sure if she'll have any rebuttals. I don't know if she will. If she did, what would she need to do from this point on?
Thank you for representing her. And yes, we will need to make sure that we have a muted color or something, if you can come back at our next meeting with that color palette. The business itself is great. We do need to have representation of a variety of things, so that's a good thing. And inside, I'm anxious to go inside and see all of the pink that she has in there. But yeah, it's a little bit overpowering right now.
So
And
then
if
the
you're looking at-
process would be for him to make new, or for her to make new application
Yeah.
with the new color.
And it is part of a whole line of stores that are all within the keeping of the same time period. And so although they are different, because we don't want cookie cutter, we do want to make sure that they are representative of the time that those buildings were built. Okay.
So the design isn't bad, it's specifically just the color?
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Is that-
Appreciate
is
you
that
being here. Mhm.
All right. Well, all right, so where are you going with this?
We have a motion to,
You'll leave any motion.
Yeah, I have a motion to table this until the next monthly meeting. And second.
okay, motion to table, seconded. All in favor, raise your hand.
Is it a table? Because
Yes.
we're not gonna be accepting the same application.
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
gonna be a new application with new
No.
color. So is it a
Not
table or is it a?
No, no.
No.
It's just a, okay.
Color,
Yeah,
color's
you
not,
just say it's-
no.
yeah.
it's-
Okay, I was just making sure.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you. What's the date of the next
All
meeting?
right.
February 19th.
19th. Thank you.
Next, we have COA-06-18, an application for a certificate of appropriateness at 309 Main Street, land lot 161 of the 6th District in Carroll County. The applicant is requesting a certificate of appropriateness for adding a sign to the facade of the building. The sign will read Emmy and J Boutique. Emmy and J Boutique will be on that's 4 foot by 10 foot, .063 gauge white aluminum stock with black vinyl lettering. Again, you have a before and after photo in your packet. And y'all, I hate to read all this. Staff recommends approval with conditions, and they're the same ones, and I'll read them again. Sign must meet the requirements as written in Table 9-1 of the Unified Development Code. Maximum sign area 300 square feet or 10% of wall face of premises to which sign relates, whichever is less, on each street-facing wall. Per the Commercial Design Standards, Chapter 6, Section M2-5. And if I can interject this for general information, it would be my opinion that if we were to come up with a color palette, this color palette will be introduced in the Commercial Design Standards somewhere in this section. The section reads, new signs for historic buildings should respect the size, scale, and design of the historic building and should not overpower the building. New signs should not obscure significant features of a historic building, such as transoms, windows, or other architectural details. New signs should be attached to a building carefully to avoid damage to historic fabric. Fittings should penetrate mortar joints rather than the masonry. And sign materials should be characteristic of a building's period and style. A building's historic features and details can often suggest a motif for new signs. And I'm not sure if the applicant is here. She's here.
Okay. And your name?
It's Erin Hart. I am the owner of M&J Boutique. We've been actually in that space for a little bit over a year. November was a year for us. We've been working on a sign for about 6 months. But I've had several sign companies run off because they didn't want to deal with all the permitting process. So now I finally do have a sign company who is working with me and who's helped me through this process. So our sign will be basically the exact same size. They came out to measure what's currently there. So it'll be the exact same size. We're just reversing the color palette that was already there. It's black with white lettering. We're gonna replace it with white with black lettering. But it will be the same size and dimensions as what is there.
So it's meeting the sign stipulation for size.
Yes.
Any comments?
I had a question. The sign that was there, 4x10, is that previous, before the historic committee that granted this size already? Because because 4x10 seems.
That goes
very-
along with the code,
It does?
yes.
Okay. Just making sure that seemed very, very large.
Yeah.
4x10.
Sign is not constructed yet, so if the size is an issue, we can
No,
alter the size.
if that was already passed, then
They base it on what is currently already
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
What color is the awning?
The awning is a dark, maybe dark gray, is a dark color.
Okay.
We are gonna have to have a bucket truck come out
Mm-hmm.
to install that because there's no way to get to it with a ladder or by the roof. So there will be some interference with traffic that day, but the sign company has arranged to have 2 men on site, one to direct traffic around.
Coordinate with the police department.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm. And they've kind of already arranged that, so that's in place and part of our contract with each other.
And you're contracting with D&G, is that right?
Yes. Mhm.
Yes. They did our sign. They did well,
Okay.
so.
Yeah. I think they do a lot in the area, so they were familiar with the processes.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
No.
Motion to accept?
I motion to accept the sign.
Second.
Okay, motion to accept has been seconded. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have any other? It has been brought to my attention that the owners of the railroad house were expecting a plaque. My question is, I know that you filled out an application because it was presented, or you would come for an application. Did you turn it in to the city? You did turn it in, okay. We are still looking for it. And so as soon as the plaque is
Found.
complete, we will certainly invite you back to present you with your plaque.
Do we need to just do another one, another application? You'll find it.
The one that you applied for and turned into the city is fine. It's just that unfortunately, with some people retiring and leaving and moving, we kind of got a little bit chaotic with the holidays.
Displaced.
Have her contact information left with us, and we'll handle the rest of it.
Okay,
We've been a little bit shaky here lately.
Yeah.
right. Okay. Any other comments? Any other business?
Okay, so do you want to schedule the color palette?
The color palette that we had gone over a few months ago and back with all the dates on there was turned over to Mr. Elliott yesterday for them to incorporate into, would you like to speak to that? The color palette that we had given to you that we all looked at?
I will do whatever I can between now and the next meeting to try to get something done. The fact that it's in the commercial design standards is probably gonna have to be approved by council,
Yeah,
so I'll work on that.
so it'll be the
Okay.
second meeting.
Yeah, because I'll have to get with the city attorney and let him advise me on how he wants it done for ordinance form to put it in, so I'll work on that.
Okay. Yeah, originally we had asked to have it done in a brochure, and so what they're doing is working on it right now, and they will be incorporating it into their planning.
We are in the process here in the next, when our new staff people come on board, to send out RFPs to find a consultant to help us redo our zoning code. That includes our sign ordinance and architectural standards
Right.
as they should apply to the Historic Preservation Commission districts. So we want to include all that, not only just a color palette, but maybe some architectural designs that y'all may want to incorporate it.
Okay.
And all of these can be discussed in our open workshop in March as well.
They will be discussed many, many times.
Yes. Because it's my understanding that we will have an MC who will be helping guide us and the speaker at our meeting as well.
We have contacted Ron Huffman, who many of y'all are familiar with. They did our comprehensive plan.
Yes.
And we talked to Ron this week, and we said, do you have a person that specializes in historic preservation? He said, you're speaking to him. I have a degree in it. So we've asked him. We hope he can do that. He's excellent. So
So we're all set? Is there any further business? Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion is carried. Thank you all for coming. We actually have people in the audience, and hoping that many of you do come. Historic preservation is, for many of us, a passion, either because we've lived here